I don't even know where to start, if I'm being honest with you. I'm not going to intro the video. You know the channel, you know who I am. It's the instant match reaction. Burnley 3, Everton 2 at Turf Moor. Another must not lose game. Lost. Some would say must win prior to this game. And you know what? For the majority of that game, I would say must win as well, considering how the game was panned out. But it's another one that not only has gone against us, but has gone against us in a way that very much feels like that is the end of Everton's Premier League running as a Premier League team, at least for the time being anyway. Listen, Burnley stayed resilient, stayed to task, and ultimately never gave up, never stopped fighting, never stopped believing, and used their crowd and their home advantage to go and get what was a goal that ultimately could very much keep them up, puts them a point behind Everton. Watford just 3 points behind Everton, and come Sunday night we very much could be in a relegation battle. Burnley's running is certainly more favourable than Everton's, but ultimately, if we're being perfectly honest with ourselves, and I will be perfectly honest, and I don't really care if there's any Burnley fans watching who won't like me saying this and won't like hearing this, but that is probably the easiest game of football we'll play all season, against probably the worst team we'll play all season. In fact, I don't think there's many teams worse than Burnley in the Premier League, barring Everton. The amount of chances we had, the amount of opportunities we had to kill the game at 2-1, the amount of opportunities we had to win the game at 2-2, and we didn't take any of them. And we can sit here all we like, and I know a lot of the comments are going to be very heavily filled with our defence is awful, and we know that. John Joe Kenny should never play for Everton Football Club again. Ben Godfrey's absolutely shite. Vitaly Mykolenko isn't good enough. Mason Holgate is wank. Jared Branthwaite, I'll let him slip, but he's obviously not ready to be a Premier League player. Michael Keane is a disgrace. Yerry Mina's made of glass. We know the defence are absolutely abysmal. We know they're awful. We know the midfield isn't strong enough. We know we haven't got enough players in there, and the players that we have got in there aren't particularly good themselves. But tonight really showed me that this entire team is absolutely garbage, by the way. Absolutely garbage. And I refuse to sit here and just pinpoint the defence, because how many opportunities did Richarlison, Anthony Gordon and Dominic Calvert-Lewin have today? And Richarlison, had we have won the game, we might be having a different conversation. He scored his 2 penalties. They were good chances taken. He worked hard. He ran round. He battled. But the reality of the situation is none of them are very good at football. None of them. We had 4 or 5 chances to win that game, kill that game off, not only at 2-1, but at 2-2 as well, and flip the momentum, and we couldn't take any of them. So as bad as the defence are, and as dreadful as the defence are, and we know they are, they're awful. That's not a championship defence, by the way. That defence will take us down next season as well. Even if we go down this season, that defence will drag us into League One, because all of them are fucking woeful, absolutely woeful. They're so incompetent. They're so bad at football that it fucking hurts. But the attack is shite as well. Absolutely shite. And I won't let them get away with it, because I think far too many people let them get away with, look at how bad our defence is, look at how bad our defence is. The attack are dreadful. They couldn't score a winner past the Burnley team that were giving us opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. Shite. Absolutely shite. I feel so heartbroken. I feel so destroyed. I feel distraught. I just feel so done with it all. That game is just the epitome of Everton's season, isn't it? It's Everton in a game of football, a must-win game. We turn up for the majority of the game. We're on top. We're battling. We're working hard. We go 1-0 down, but we get back in it. We win 2 penalties, which were clear penalties. We score them both, and then we come out in the second half and we're getting chance after chance after chance. And then we concede 2 goals, which, let's be honest, John Joe Kenny should never kick a football for this football club again. Never, ever, ever kick a football for this football club again. He is absolutely awful. He's the worst player I've ever seen in an Everton shirt. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care how many people are going to throw this player or that player. He is the worst player I have ever seen in an Everton shirt. Absolutely the worst by a country mile. The kid can't defend, and he does fuck all going forward. The 3rd goal come from a John Joe Kenny shot. He can't even hit the fucking ball at goal. But, again, we concede 2 carbon copy goals, one of them in the last 5 minutes, and we lose a game that I feel will take us down now. I'm sorry to be negative. I'm sorry to be pessimistic. I'm sorry if some people say, oh, we've still got this game and that game and Burnley could drop points here or that. I just think that game is the type of game that you look back on at the end of a season and you think that was the one that took us down. And for everybody saying we've still got this game and that game, do me a fucking favour and stop wasting your breath, stop wasting your energy. Because what have we saw over recent weeks to suggest that we'll get anything out of them games? The Goodison atmosphere might drag us through against Manchester United. It might, but Burnley are fucking dreadful. They're the worst team in the league. They hadn't scored in 5 games and they've just put 3 past us. And how easy did we make it? One set piece, by the way, whoever our set piece coach is, don't let them back at Finch Farm ever again because they're fucking woeful. And 2 carbon copy goals. The manager takes blame tonight for me. Is he up for the task? It doesn't seem it. Is he experienced enough for the situation that we're in? It doesn't seem it. Is he good enough to keep us in the Premier League? It certainly doesn't seem it. And I'm not going to sit here and throw Frank Lampard under the bus because I've said before, the situation we're in isn't the fault of Frank Lampard, and it isn't the fault of Frank Lampard, it's the fault of this dickhead clown of a board that are at the top of the football club, that are an absolute disgrace. I want resignations from Bill Kenwright tomorrow, Denise Barrett-Baxendale, Farhad Moshiri, you can fuck off as well. Graham Sharp, you can fuck off. The lot of them. If they cared about this football club, they'd turn up tomorrow and go, do you know what? This isn't good enough and I'm going to walk away from it. But they don't give a fuck. All as they care about, every one of them, is making a coin. That's all they give a shit about. Not this football club, just making a little bit of money. They're all absolute dickheads, the lot of them. They're clowns. And what happens when you've got clowns running your club? You get a fucking circus. And here we are. And who are we? We're the poor bastards that have got to watch this circus week in, week out with a bit of hope, with a bit of optimism, with a bit of actually, do you know what, it might be different today. And yet we get let down time and time and time again like a fucking balloon. Every single we are fucking the film It, aren't we? We are It. You've got fucking Pennywise, which is the fucking knobheads at the top of the football club ruining us. And we're the little red balloon that just gets let down fucking week in, week out. I don't know. I honestly don't know where. I'm sorry, but I can't see us staying up. I really, really can't. They're dreadful. Burnley, they're absolutely dreadful. They hadn't scored a goal in 5 games. And yet, they put 3 past us with ease, by the way, with absolute ease. Absolute ease. We can sit here all we like and talk about how bad the defence is. This defence wouldn't survive the Championship. Simple as that, they wouldn't. They would go down in the Championship. They're an utter disgrace, a lot of them. But the reality is, when are we going to start looking at Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who can't finish his dinner, or Richarlison, who had 2 or 3 chances and couldn't finish his dinner, and in the last 15 minutes was looking for a hat-trick? Instead of putting balls into the box or moving the ball into good areas, he was trying to curl it from 30 yards, looking for a fucking fabulous hat-trick when we needed to go and win the game. I love Richarlison, and I think for 70 minutes today, he was brilliant. For the last 20, he was absolutely atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. I've just dropped my phone, which is probably smashed to bits, which is great. That adds to the excitement of the night, which is just exactly what you want. But yeah, I look at it and I just don't see a way in which we stay up. I really, really don't. That today was the teller. That today was the one where you look and you think, right, don't lose. And a lot of people said to me yesterday, well, why are you being negative? It's a must win. It's a must win. That's why I said don't lose. We get a draw out of that and we're not happy, but we're sitting here saying, do you know what? Walk away with that. Our away record, by the way, is fucking... It's criminal. It's absolutely criminal. These players should be locked up for how bad they are away from home. It's criminal. And we've never been good away from home, by the way. We haven't. Last season didn't even count. Last season wasn't even real, by the way. It was fucking... We never got to watch a game in the stadium. It wasn't real. Let's be honest, it wasn't real. We've always been shit away from home. Whoever's been the manager, we've managed to get by it under Moyes and in certain games under Martinez and stuff like that in the first season, but we've never been good away from home. But this season is just disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. 6 points away from home all season. 1 win. 1 win. Today, for 70 minutes, you would have sworn, if you weren't an Everton fan, that there was no way we could lose that game. And yet, we lose it. As I said, for me, I've allowed Frank Lampard to sort of go under the radar, and I've not given him much criticism. He takes criticism today for me to not use all 3 substitutions in a game that important when you can clearly see Burnley are getting back into it. They've scored an equaliser. They're pushing for a third. It's just pure incompetence. Absolutely pure incompetence. It's as simple as that. Absolutely as simple as that. I've backed Lampard, and I've been very non-critical of him so far as the Everton manager, but I think today was a little bit worrying from my point of view regarding to the manager, because today was the first time that I watched and I actually thought, do you know what? Maybe he isn't up to this. Maybe he isn't good enough to get us out of this situation. Maybe he isn't good enough to motivate these players. Maybe he isn't good enough to make the right decisions at the right time. You know, I didn't particularly have a problem with Gordon going off for Gray, but why not give Dobbin a go? Especially when it goes to 2-2 and you know how desperate we are to get a win. Or throw El Ghazi on there. What was the point in Dele Alli and El Ghazi signing? By the way, release them tomorrow as well. Don't let them back at USM Finch Farm, because they're just not even, it's not USM Finch. I need to stop saying that. Finch Farm, because they're just taking up wages. And let's be honest, if Dele Alli can't get in this team in a game like that tonight, when we so desperately needed 3 points, he'll never get in an Everton team. He will never ever ever get in an Everton team. So just get rid of him. Get rid of El Ghazi. Pointless sign him. And this is all the fault of, as I said, the clowns at the top of the football club. And if they're watching this video tonight, every fucking one of you, grow a pair of bollocks and resign from this football club, because you are destroying us. And it's not you that are losing out, because you're earning fucking millions a year. And of course, you can come on and say, oh, we love the club, we want the best. Fucking nonsense. All as you want is to earn as much money as you can. It's us. It's us, the fans, who are getting let down day in, day out, week in, week out, by a bunch of players that you've bought who aren't good enough, managers you've employed who aren't good enough, and false promises and false identities of, oh, we'll be all right and we'll have a better second half of the season, this, that, and the other. Every fucking one of you should be embarrassed, absolutely embarrassed, and none of you deserve to be at this football club, not one of you. And I said it 4 weeks ago, and I'll say it again today, regardless of the outcome of this season, and I very much feel like the outcome is relegation. I very much feel like the outcome is relegation. But regardless of the outcome this season, not one of those members of that board should walk back into Everton's offices for the beginning of next season. And the owner should sell up straight away, because he's a massive problem as well. The money we've spent, I've seen a couple of people in the comments saying this is Benitez's fault. Benitez has led to this. Forget Benitez. When I look at Benitez and the Benitez era and the Benitez tenure at Everton and the situation we're in now, I don't think of Rafa Benitez. I've got no ill feeling towards Rafa Benitez, if I'm being honest with you. Do you know why? Because he was always going to come in and do a bad job, because he's not a very good manager. He was always going to have a loving relationship with Liverpool, because that's who he is. He was never going to change, and he was never the right fit for the job. And that's what we all said in the summer when the club went for him. This will not work. We'll be 2-0 down at Goodison against Liverpool, and they'll be singing his name. He'll be sacked. He'll put us in a bad situation. And the fucking dickhead owner at the top still persisted in employing him, because he thought he knew better. So forget this is Benitez's fault. Benitez did this, Benitez done that. Benitez is Farhad Moshiri. Farhad Moshiri has put us in this situation, not Rafael Benitez. Rafael Benitez come in and took $6 million a year to do a job that he knew he'd only be here for a matter of months, and do it fucking poorly. Absolutely poorly. But who put him there in the first place? The fucking idiot at the top of the football club who hasn't got a clue about football and yet seems to think he knows everything. He's an absolute dickhead. Absolute dickhead. As for the players, they're just not good enough. They're just not. Tonight proved it. They're just not good enough. It's as simple as that. A lot of them are just... As I said, we know the defence isn't good enough. We've sat here and talked about the defence for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And that's fine, because we know the defence are dreadful. But our attack are just woeful. Absolutely woeful. I mean, Richie got 2 goals today, 2 penalties, and he took them well, and they were under pressure and this, that, and the other, and he worked hard. But in front of goal, not good enough. And as I said, I don't know if anybody else, maybe I'm being hypercritical, but for the last 15 minutes of that game, he was looking for a hat-trick. He wasn't looking for the best way to Everton to get a winner. He was looking for a hat-trick, and that's not good enough. That's not good enough. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, we're playing Burnley, and you couldn't even impose yourself on those centre-halves. Anthony Gordon, as much as I love him, as hard as he works, you've got to be scoring that one-on-one when the ball gets cut across you. It's a great challenge, it's a great block, but use your initiative, cut back inside, hang your shot on. You can see Tarkovsky sliding in from about fucking 15 mile. Hang your shot on. Yeah, that today just very much feels like it's done, doesn't it? It just very, very, very much feels like it's over. It mightn't be. It mightn't be. There's still football to be played and this, that and the other. But Burnley will take a ridiculous amount of confidence from that game. Ridiculous amount. Watford are bound to take confidence. Watford are bound to win games. They're bound to pick up points. Where are we picking up points? And Carl, I completely disagree. By the way, he wasn't an idiot when he was throwing his money around, but he wasn't he? Because he was aware of the repercussions of that. And yes, I'll sit here and admit that I was one of those fans that were saying, "Oh, it's not my money. This, that, and the other. Get this, that, and throw all the money you can in." But he's an idiot, mate. He's an absolute idiot. He hasn't done his best putting his retirement money into making us a Champions League team, because he had 2 loan options in January, and he could have chosen a creative, a solid a midfielder who can get about the pitch, or a goal scorer that can score goals, or a decent centre half, and he chose a fella that he knew was never going to play, but because it's his best mate's agent, his best mate's player, and it will give his best mate a little bit of money. That's the only reason why he brought El Ghazi in. So I will call him for what he is. He's an idiot. He's an absolute idiot. As is the others at the top of the football club, as are the players on the pitch. And Frank Lampard, for me today, as much as I like him and as much as I don't put the blame on him and as much as I don't think he can be culpable for the situation that we're in directly and what it's got to, I think he takes blame for that result today, and he takes blame for that performance, because that's 2 weeks on the bounce now. He's made 1 substitution when we've lost games that we can't afford to lose. Today was massive. Absolutely massive. We needed to not lose that, and we've lost it. A must win. Yeah, we can talk about must wins all we like. We can talk about games that we desperately need to win, and yes, that was one of them. That was absolutely one of them. But to lose that today, is just it's just heartbreaking. I don't really know what to say. I don't really know how to portray my feelings. I don't really know how to feel, to be honest with you, because as I said, Palace really showed me a lot. Palace showed me that I'm quite numb to this. I'm quite numb to this, all of this. And today, am I as angry and fuming as upset as maybe I thought I would be? No, but that's what is worrying. That this has just become the norm. This has just become what we expect. I mean, same old Everton says, "Sorry, Cam, but I'm broken." Semi says, "Cam, I'm just beside myself with the loss." I just don't... Do you know what I think I'm doing? And do you know what I think I've done? I think I've accepted that this is they're going to be the case. When a lot of other Blues were very much, "No, we'll be all right." Post Wolves, post, Brighton at home and games like that, where a lot of Blues were like, "No, we'll be all right." Wolves at home a couple of weeks ago was another example. Palace away, when a lot of Blues were saying, "No, we'll be all right. Don't worry about it. We'll be absolutely fine." There's loads of footy to be played. I think that was my period of going through this devastation and this upset, and I am devastated and I'm upset and I'm fuming and I'm gutted and I feel like crying, but I'm just I expect it. I expect it now, and maybe these players and this manager expect it, and maybe that's the problem. We were 2-1 up at half time, and I said to the lads I was watching the game with, this has got Everton clanger written all over it. And that might be negative or, problematic or non-productive and this, that and the other. But that's what we do, isn't it? And that tonight is just I just don't see a way back. I don't see a way back. I really, really don't. Because, you know, they're the type of games that you do look back on at the end of the season and you think that was monumental. That was monumental. Look at what a win would have done for us. Sky put the table up halfway through the game when we were winning, and we were, 6 points clear of the relegation zone with games in hand. We were 3 points behind Newcastle and Brighton, who very much seem to be safe. And yes, okay, you can sit here and say we still could get to there with a couple of wins, but who were we beating? We beating Man United at the weekend? I don't think we're beating Man United. Yes, we might be, better because we're at home and the home atmosphere, but Wolves proved that you don't have... Wolves aren't a very good team either, and Wolves proved that you just have to be relatively compact and well managed to beat Everton. Are Man United capable of that? Absolutely. Leicester, I don't see us beating Leicester. Liverpool away is just an absolute anomaly. It's a nonsense. There's not even a point in thinking about it. Chelsea at home, I think, is another one of them. Okay, we've got Brentford. Watford away. I think today's game was very much an indication of you look at Watford away and you think, if we couldn't get 3 points tonight, and let's have it right, and, respect to Burnley, they stayed resilient, they kept working, they battled, they didn't give up, but let's be honest, they're fucking garbage. They're absolutely garbage. We had chance after chance after chance. They were losing the ball. As soon as we were putting a bit of pressure on them, they were giving the ball away. We're the unfittest team in the league, by the way. Simple as that. Not only are we the worst team in the league, we are the unfittest team in the league. These players are goosed after about 5 minutes of running. Absolutely goosed. I said months ago, I don't think we'll pick up another point away from home all season. And we're 2 months down the line since I said that, and we haven't picked up another point away from home all season. And to be honest with you, how we didn't pick up at least a point today is sickening. Absolutely sickening. And Martin says we didn't play that badly. It was down to our piss poor defence and Sunday League defending. But it wasn't though, was it, Martin? It was, in the sense that our goals conceded. Listen, the first goal is a set piece. As I said, whoever the set piece coach is should never turn up at Finch Farm again. The second and third are the exact same goal. The exact same goal. A player gets into the box far too easily. John Joe Kenny is a disgrace. Ball gets cut across, and Cornet, I think it was Rodriguez first, and it was Cornet second. Both standing there, nobody marking them. I think we conceded 2 goals in the same manner against Spurs. We conceded against Palace in the same manner. When Mateta scored a couple of weeks ago, we concede the same goals every week, and that shows that this defence are utterly abysmal. They're making the same mistakes week in, week out. But it's not just the defence, is it? How many chances does Dominic Calvert-Lewin need? How many chances does Richarlison need? Anthony Gordon? What did Damari Gray do when he come on? Very little. The attack are woeful as well. The defence are dreadful, but the attack are woeful as well. The midfield are non-existent. So whilst we mightn't look like we've played particularly badly, we scored 2 penalties, which were blatant penalties and well taken by Richarlison. But other than that, had we have not gotten those penalties, which, on another day, we mightn't have gotten them with the inconsistency of VAR and referees and stuff, we wouldn't have scored a single goal in that game. And I'm not being funny or nothing. I'm being deadly serious when I say this. Burnley hadn't scored a goal in 5 games, and they've put 3 past us today. The defence is a massive issue. The attack is a massive issue. The manager's stubbornness and clear... I don't know whether it is stubbornness or whether it's just ineptitude is a massive issue. The whole club is just rotten from top to bottom, absolutely rotten, and it is being run like a circus because the people at the top are clowns, and when you've got clowns at the top, you will get a circus. As I said, I can't sit here and be positive. Thomas has donated £2 to the team. Says thanks for making it better with your videos. Thank you, my mate. I really appreciate that. I just don't see what we. I just don't see how we do this. The players can't do the basics. I said this before and I'll say it again, and I got ripped for saying it last time, but I will say it again. The goals that we concede, if children conceded on a Sunday League pitch, they would be told off for. They would be told that it's not good enough, you need to be better. It's the basics of football. And yet, Premier League players won't be shortly, but Premier League players are conceding these goals week in, week out. The same goals. How many corners somebody tell me, I don't know the stat. How many set pieces have we conceded this season? Please, somebody tell me. How many of them goals have we conceded this season where a ball gets cut across the box and somebody's standing completely on their own, ready to tap it in? How many of them have we conceded this season? We concede the same goals every week, and we don't learn our lessons. And this is why I just don't see a way back. I just don't see a way back. I honestly don't see any game that I look at and go, we'll win that. Please, please, please tell me if anybody watching the live comments, and there's 550 people watching, thank you, by the way. If you're enjoying and you want to, leave a like, subscribe if you know all that stuff. But anybody watching, please tell me the games that you look at and think we win between now and the end of the season. Because I wouldn't be surprised if you don't pick up another single point. And by the way, you know what hurts even more? And what really, really sort of is the biggest worry, I suppose. The biggest worry is that if we go down, we aren't coming back up. This team doesn't win the championship, by the way. So all of this nonsense that, yeah, but we'll do dead well in it. We're not going to be a Norwich. We're not going to be a West Brom. We're not going to be a Fulham or a Bournemouth. There's too many players on too big of a wage who aren't good enough. These players would go down in the championship as well. Cal says Watford, Brentford. We won't beat Watford away because we won't win another away game. Brentford possible, but depends which Everton team turn up and depends where we are at the time of that game. Thomas has donated another £5 to the team. He says, I don't think the players have the mindset that the fans will be clowned on. We got work or school that we will be made fun of because of that. Well, the players don't do they, because they just go home to their lovely mansions and their lovely families and their lovely fast cars and this, that and the other, and they just, they're not asked. There's a lot of Liverpool fans in the comments today. Listen, if you just want to get your fun in, get your fun in. I don't know what you want out of me. I really, personally, for me, if it was the other way around, I would be nowhere near. There's a lot of sound Liverpool fans, by the way. A couple of them have said, they like the channel and stuff. But all of these laughing. Listen, if you coming here for a reaction, or you're not getting nothing out of me, because I couldn't give a fuck what Liverpool are doing or where Liverpool are. I couldn't give a fuck if you win 8 trophies this season and you parade them all naked all around the city for 6 weeks. I couldn't give a fuck. I honestly couldn't care. That's how bad the situation is with Everton now. I'm not arsed. Tell me says, disrespectful, a circus will be run by business savvy people. We have clowns at the top. True, very true. But yeah, we are, as I said, we aren't coming back up. We simply aren't coming back up. We aren't. It's as simple as that. We aren't. We're not. We go down and we aren't coming back. This team wouldn't win the championship. In fact, this team wouldn't even fucking finish in the top 4 in the championship. This team would struggle to finish mid-table in the championship. That's how bad it is. Because they're so bad. They can't do the basics, and I don't know what it is, because last year, as I said, I'm not really a big conspiracy theorist or any of this, but I honestly don't think last season existed. I really, really don't. How Ancelotti had this team at any point in the season fighting for top 4, second at Christmas or Boxing Day, whatever it was, is fucking beyond me. Absolutely beyond me. Away record where we'd win everywhere we'd go? No, didn't exist. James Rodriguez playing for Everton? No, didn't exist. It never happened. Last season was just televised, and it was just played out in an acting way. It never happened. Never happened. Not asked. I don't want to get on Lampard's back, because I don't think Lampard's the problem, really, at Everton. But today is the first time where I've really sat down and asked myself, was he the right appointment? Was he up for task? Is he experienced enough to get us out of this situation? it very, very, very much feels like this is over. Very, very, very much feels like this is over. Rick says heartbreaking to watch. Now, it is heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to watch. And it's just, I just don't think, as I said, it's not even oh yeah, but if we got, one season in the Championship, it's not. For me, I'm looking at it thinking it's a Sunderland, it's a Wigan, it's a Bolton, it's a Blackburn, it's a, more probably, to be fair, Bolton, i.e. will be simmering on, just bankruptcy and going into administration because of the money we've spent and the outcome that we've got. You look at our running of games and you look at the lack of motivation. And okay, the players did fight a little bit more today. There was a bit more desire. There was a bit more effort. There was a bit more intensity, a bit more passion, all of that sort of stuff. But there's still a distinct lack of quality. And that's the biggest worry. That's the biggest worry, by the way. That even when these players give everything, even when there is that fight, there is that commitment, there's that desire, there is that battle, they still are dreadful at playing football. It's just heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking. And I think there will be a lot of Blues tonight who will have been very much, no, we'll be all right before tonight, who will very much have turned their tune. And I just don't see a way out. I really, really don't see a way out of this. I don't see how. I just don't see the games we win. I don't. And as I said, I'm not going to sit here and talk about positives because there isn't any. There isn't any. For Richarlison's 2 penalties and his work rate, he missed 2 or 3 clear chances that he should have been putting away. And for the last 15 minutes, he was that desperate to get a hat-trick that he wasn't really focusing on actually the team. He was rather focusing on what he can do himself. I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin, again, we can talk about having a lack of service, this, that and the other, but there was a couple of good balls put in today that he didn't get anywhere near, and he made it quite comfortable for 2 bang average, in fact, poor centre-halves. Gordon works hard, runs down, battles, fights, but where's the output? Where's what matters at the end of it? Gray did nothing when he come on. The defence are abysmal, absolutely abysmal. The attack are shite, the midfield are shite, and yeah, I think this is the. Bonesaw says there was no clear chances. Gordon's is a clear chance. Richarlison had about 3 or 4 clear chances. There was about 4 balls flashed across the box that nobody got near. There was chances created, and yeah, people saying we're Leeds 2.0. As I said, for me, whatever happens, the whole club needs stripping down. The board, the players, probably the management team, everything needs stripping down and replacing. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, look, we are going to finish it up there then. 800 odd people watching, so thank you all very much. I'm aware that a lot of you people won't be Evertonians and might be here to wind up or whatever, but if you have enjoyed this one and you're interested in leaving a like and subscribing, it would mean a massive amount to me. If you are new, if you have enjoyed it, thanks for watching. I suppose if you're watching the YouTube video, leave your thoughts down below. Get involved with as many of them. Thomas has donated £5. Cheers, Thomas. He says, what do you think the Goodison atmosphere will be like? Well, I think a lot of Evertonians now will be very much of the opinion that if we are going to stay up, it won't be down to the manager, it won't be down to the players, it won't be down to anything other than the Goodison atmosphere and the players having to show a reaction at Goodison. But we'll see that against West Ham, won't we? Against Manchester United. And yeah, I don't know. We'll be back with the player ratings in about 5 minutes anyway, so don't forget to look out for them. If you are new to the channel, subscribe, leave a like if you enjoyed all of that sort of stuff. But yeah, I just don't know where to go with it. I don't know where to go. I haven't. I feel like crying, but I can't cry because I don't cry. I can't physically cry. But if I could cry, I would be in absolute tears by now. because this is our football club being destroyed week in, week out. And today very much feels like the nail in the coffin, doesn't it? Today very much feels like that's it. But yeah, we'll wait and see. Anyway, big thanks for watching. If you have enjoyed it, leave a like, subscribe if you're new. We'll be back with the play rating shortly. Yeah, thanks all for watching, and we'll see you later.